I feel the weight of what you have been carrying, even if nobody else ever seemed to notice it. There have been seasons in your life when it felt as though every step forward was met by resistance. Every moment of peace was interrupted by confusion, and every attempt to grow was somehow challenged by unexpected obstacles. You worked hard to become a better person. You chose kindness when bitterness would have been easier. You remained faithful when disappointment tried to convince you that nothing would ever change. Yet despite your efforts, there were times when life seemed determined to keep you small. What many people fail to understand is that not every battle appears in obvious ways. Some battles happen quietly within the heart. Some attacks do not come to destroy you immediately. They come to reduce your confidence, weaken your hope, and convince you to settle for less than what God placed inside you. That is why this message matters today. The enemy does not waste energy attacking what has no value. The greatest resistance often appears around the people carrying the greatest potential. The enemy is trying to nerf your destiny, not because your future is fragile, but because your future is powerful. There is something within you that has survived circumstances that should have broken you. There is a strength inside you that kept moving forward, even during nights when nobody knew how much pain you were carrying. The fact that you are still standing says more about your strength than you realize. You carried burdens that few people ever noticed. You endured seasons that received no applause. You survived disappointments that would have convinced many others to quit entirely. Yet here you are, still breathing, still hoping, still believing that something greater exists beyond the struggle. That persistence is not an accident. It is evidence of a deeper purpose at work in your life. Many people think destiny is only about achievement, recognition, or success. But destiny begins long before any visible reward appears. Destiny is shaped in the hidden places. It is formed during the moments when nobody is watching. It grows through patience, endurance, humility, and faith. The enemy understands this. That is why the attacks are often directed toward your confidence rather than your abilities. If you can be convinced that you are insignificant, you may never discover how significant you truly are. If you can be convinced that your story does not matter, you may stop writing the chapters that were meant to inspire others. If you can be convinced that your best days are behind you, you may never step into the opportunities waiting ahead. Throughout your journey, there have been moments when rejection seemed personal. People misunderstood your intentions. Some questioned your character. Others dismissed your value. There were times when you gave your best and received little appreciation in return. Your kindness cost you more than most people will ever understand. You invested energy into relationships that were not always returned. You offered support when you yourself needed encouragement. You remained loyal while others walked away. Those experiences left marks on your heart. They created moments of loneliness and confusion, yet even in those painful seasons, something important was happening beneath the surface. The seasons that tested you were also shaping who you were becoming. Every disappointment taught wisdom. Every setback developed resilience. Every delay strengthened patience. Every lonely season deepened your relationship with yourself and with God. What felt like punishment was often preparation. What felt like abandonment was often protection. What felt like a closed door was sometimes the redirection that saved you from a path that was never meant for you. The enemy wanted those experiences to make you bitter. Instead, they made you stronger. The enemy wanted those experiences to destroy your faith. Instead, they revealed how much faith you truly possessed. The enemy wanted you to believe that your value depended on the approval of others. Instead, you slowly began learning that your worth comes from something far deeper. You are worth far more than the moments that tried to make you feel small. You are worth more than the rejection. You are worth more than the criticism. You are worth more than the failures that temporarily interrupted your progress. Your identity was never meant to be defined by your lowest moments. There were battles you fought entirely in silence. Some of your greatest victories happened when nobody was watching. Nobody saw the tears you wiped away before facing another day. Nobody saw the prayers whispered during moments of exhaustion. Nobody saw the courage it took to keep going after another disappointment arrived. But God saw. God saw the tears that nobody else noticed. God saw the nights when you questioned your future. God saw the moments when you almost gave up, but somehow found the strength to continue. Nothing was wasted, not the pain, not the waiting, not the confusion, not the struggle. Every experience became part of a larger process, shaping your character and preparing your heart. Sometimes the enemy tries to nerf your destiny by convincing you that progress should happen quickly. When life unfolds more slowly than expected, discouragement begins to grow. You start comparing your journey to others. You wonder why certain blessings seem delayed. You question whether your efforts are accomplishing anything at all. Yet, comparison has stolen peace from countless people. Your story was never meant to unfold exactly like someone else's. Your path carries unique lessons, unique timing, and unique opportunities. What appears delayed from your perspective may actually be developing perfectly, according to a timeline greater than your own understanding. Some of the strongest people in the world were shaped through seasons they never would have chosen. Their strength was not created during easy times, it was created during difficult times. Your story reflects the same truth. The resilience you possess today did not appear overnight. It was forged through endurance. It was strengthened through perseverance. It was refined through challenges that demanded more from you than you thought you could give. The enemy hoped those challenges would weaken you permanently. Instead, they revealed capabilities you never knew existed. They revealed courage hidden beneath fear. They revealed wisdom hidden beneath confusion. They revealed faith hidden beneath uncertainty. The struggle did not define you. The way you responded to the struggle revealed who you truly are. There is a quiet strength within you that many people overlook because it does not demand attention. It does not need constant recognition. It does not depend on applause. Yet it continues moving forward, day after day, step after step, even when nobody understands the journey, even when progress feels slow, even when the destination remains unclear. That quiet strength is one of the greatest gifts God placed inside you. It has carried you through storms. It has protected you during moments of doubt. It has reminded you that your circumstances are temporary, even when they feel overwhelming. You are not the person you were when this journey began. You have grown. You have learned. You have survived. You have become wiser, more compassionate, and more resilient than you once imagined possible. Not every battle you fought was in vain. Not every delay was meaningless. Not every disappointment represented failure. Some experiences were preparing you for responsibilities that require greater maturity, deeper understanding, and stronger character. Destiny is not simply about arriving somewhere new. It is about becoming someone new along the way. The enemy may attempt to limit your vision, discourage your heart, and distract your focus, but none of those efforts can erase what God has already planted within you. There remains purpose in your life. There remains value in your story. There remains hope for your future. The chapters ahead may not look exactly as you expect, but they still hold possibilities greater than your current fears. Continue honoring the strength that carried you this far. Continue believing that your life possesses meaning beyond what you can presently see. Continue trusting that God has not forgotten you. The same God who sustained you through difficult seasons remains present today. The same God who guided you through confusion continues guiding you now. The same God who gave you strength yesterday will provide strength tomorrow. If this message reached you during a season when you needed encouragement, subscribe to the channel and continue walking alongside a community that believes in faith, healing, perseverance, and purpose. May each message remind you that your journey matters, your growth matters, and that you are never alone as you continue becoming the person you were created to be. There comes a moment in many lives when the battle is no longer about survival alone. The battle becomes about identity. It becomes about remembering who you are after years of hardship tried to convince you that you were less than you truly are. This is one of the most subtle ways the enemy attempts to nerf your destiny, not by taking away every opportunity, not by removing every blessing, not by creating constant visible disasters. Instead, the attack often focuses on perception. If you begin to see yourself through the lens of failure, disappointment, rejection, and loss, then even the doors God opens may go unnoticed. Even the opportunities placed before you may feel intimidating. Even the gifts within you may remain hidden beneath layers of self-doubt. Many people carrying extraordinary purpose spend years questioning their value, because life did not unfold according to their expectations. They expected recognition, but encountered rejection. They expected support, but faced isolation. They expected quick progress, but experienced long seasons of waiting. Yet the delay never changed their worth. The struggle never changed their value. The opposition never altered what God had placed inside them. You may recognize this pattern within your own journey. There were seasons when you looked around and wondered why things seemed easier for everyone else. You saw people advancing while you felt stuck. You saw others receiving opportunities while doors appeared closed for you. You saw relationships flourishing while you struggled with loneliness. Those moments carried a particular kind of pain because they touched areas of the heart that rarely receive attention. They challenged your confidence. They tested your patience. They forced you to wrestle with questions that had no immediate answers. Yet through every difficult season, a remarkable truth remained unchanged. You continued moving forward. Even when discouraged, you continued. Even when exhausted, you continued. Even when uncertain, you continued. The fact that you remained committed to growth despite adversity reveals something powerful about your character. There is a resilience within you that cannot be measured by external achievements. It cannot be quantified by titles, possessions, or public recognition. It exists in the quiet determination that kept you going when quitting seemed easier. It exists in the courage that allowed you to begin again after disappointment. It exists in the faith that survived moments of uncertainty. Some people never understand how much strength is required simply to remain hopeful after repeated setbacks. Hope can become one of the greatest acts of courage. To continue believing after disappointment requires strength. To continue loving after heartbreak requires strength. To continue trusting after betrayal requires strength. To continue dreaming after delays requires strength. You have exercised that strength more times than you realize. The enemy hoped repeated disappointments would convince you to lower your expectations for your life. The enemy hoped you would settle for survival and abandon purpose. The enemy hoped you would become so focused on past pain that you would stop anticipating future possibilities. Yet something inside you refused to surrender completely. Even during your darkest moments, a small part of your spirit continued believing there was more ahead. That quiet belief matters. It is often the beginning of restoration. It is often the spark that reignites vision after years of discouragement. Sometimes people assume that destiny arrives suddenly through dramatic breakthroughs. Sometimes that happens. More often, however, destiny unfolds through gradual transformation. It emerges through consistent growth. It develops through lessons learned during ordinary days. It is built through countless small decisions to remain faithful, kind, patient, and hopeful, despite circumstances that encourage the opposite. Looking back on your journey, you may already see evidence of this process. The person you are today possesses wisdom that did not exist years ago. The compassion you show others was often born from your own experiences of pain. The understanding you offer comes from battles you personally endured. The empathy within your heart was shaped by seasons when you desperately needed empathy yourself. What once felt like meaningless suffering often became the source of your greatest strengths. There were moments when you felt invisible, moments when your efforts seemed unnoticed, moments when you questioned whether anyone truly understood what you were carrying. Yet invisibility does not mean insignificance. Some of the most important growth occurs in hidden places. A seed develops underground before anyone sees evidence of life above the surface. In much the same way, God often develops strength, wisdom, and character in private before revealing their impact publicly. Hidden seasons are not wasted seasons. They are often preparation seasons. During those periods, the enemy frequently whispers discouraging messages. You are falling behind. Nobody cares. Nothing is changing. Your efforts do not matter. Your future will never improve. Yet those messages depend upon one thing to succeed. They depend upon your agreement. They depend upon your willingness to accept them as truth. But they were never truth. Your life has always carried value. Your efforts have always mattered. Your growth has always been significant. Even when progress appeared slow, progress was still occurring. Even when results seemed invisible, transformation was still taking place. God was working within areas of your life that could not yet be seen. Many people only celebrate visible victories. They celebrate promotions, achievements, accomplishments, and milestones. Those moments deserve celebration. Yet some of the most meaningful victories never appear on public display. Forgiving someone who hurt you is a victory. Choosing hope after disappointment is a victory. Maintaining kindness in a harsh world is a victory. Continuing to trust God after unanswered prayers is a victory. Waking up and facing another day during a difficult season is a victory. You have accumulated more victories than you realize because many of them happened within your heart. They happened in private. They happened when nobody was watching. They happened when your spirit chose growth over bitterness, faith over fear, and perseverance over surrender. Those victories matter deeply because they reveal who you are becoming. The enemy is not threatened by appearances. The enemy is threatened by transformation. A transformed person cannot be controlled by the same fears that once limited them. A healed person cannot be manipulated by the same wounds that once defined them. A hopeful person cannot be imprisoned by the same discouragement that once overwhelmed them. Every step you take toward healing weakens the influence of past pain. Every step you take toward faith weakens the influence of fear. Every step you take toward purpose weakens the influence of doubt. That is why your growth matters. That is why your healing matters. That is why your perseverance matters. You may not yet see the full picture. You may not understand every reason behind every challenge. Yet understanding is not always required before progress becomes possible. Sometimes faith means continuing to move forward while trusting that clarity will arrive later. Many of the answers you seek today may become obvious when viewed from the perspective of tomorrow. The delays may reveal their purpose. The closed doors may reveal their protection. The difficult seasons may reveal the strength they created. The loneliness may reveal the depth it developed within your spirit. The waiting may reveal the patience it cultivated. None of these experiences were capable of destroying your destiny. They only became part of the process shaping it. Your story still contains chapters waiting to be written. Your future still contains opportunities waiting to be discovered. Your heart still contains strength waiting to be fully recognized. Do not underestimate what God can accomplish through a person who refuses to surrender hope. Do not underestimate the impact of a life built upon perseverance. Do not underestimate the value of the lessons you have learned. The enemy may have attempted to reduce your confidence, diminish your vision, and weaken your expectations. But your destiny was never dependent upon the enemy's opinion. Your future was never defined by your worst season. Your worth was never determined by the people who failed to recognize it. You remain valuable. You remain capable. You remain deeply loved by the God who saw every tear, every sacrifice, every prayer, and every act of faith that others overlooked. Continue honoring the growth that has taken place within you. Continue recognizing the strength that carried you through difficult years. Continue believing that the story is not over. There is still purpose ahead. There is still healing ahead. There is still joy ahead. There is still meaning ahead. And there is still a future that reflects far more than the pain you endured to reach it. If these words encouraged your spirit and reminded you of the strength God has been building within you all along, subscribe to the channel and continue receiving messages that nurture faith, healing, resilience, and purpose. May this space remain a source of encouragement as you move forward with greater confidence in the value of your journey and the hope that still lies ahead. One of the greatest misconceptions about destiny is the belief that it removes struggle from a person's life. Many people imagine that purpose should create an easy path, a clear direction, and immediate results. Yet some of the most meaningful journeys unfold through seasons of uncertainty. The people who eventually become sources of wisdom, encouragement, and strength for others are often the very people who first walked through valleys they never expected to face. That truth is reflected throughout your own story. There were chapters you never would have chosen. There were losses you did not deserve. There were disappointments that seemed unfair. There were moments when exhaustion settled deeply into your heart because you had spent so much time carrying burdens without visible relief. During those seasons, the enemy attempted to convince you that the struggle itself was proof that your future had been diminished. The enemy wanted you to interpret resistance as failure. The enemy wanted you to view hardship as evidence that nothing meaningful was ahead. Yet the reality was often the opposite. Resistance frequently appeared because something valuable remained alive within you. The fact that you kept standing despite everything you faced revealed that there was a strength operating within your life that circumstances could not fully overcome. That strength did not come from perfection. It came from persistence. It came from choosing to continue when continuing felt difficult. It came from maintaining faith when certainty was unavailable. It came from trusting that God remained present even when His direction seemed unclear. Looking back, you can probably identify moments that felt impossible while you were living through them. At the time, you may have believed the pain would never end. You may have believed the loneliness would last forever. You may have believed that certain disappointments had permanently altered the course of your life. Yet somehow you moved beyond those moments. Somehow you survived days that once felt unbearable. Somehow you found the strength to rise again after setbacks that appeared overwhelming. That reality deserves recognition. Too often people focus entirely on what they still lack and forget how far they have already traveled. They focus on the goals not yet reached and overlook the mountains they already climbed. They focus on the wounds still healing and forget the wounds that have already closed. Your journey deserves to be viewed with greater compassion. You have endured more than many people realize. You have grown more than you sometimes acknowledge. You have overcome more than you often give yourself credit for. The enemy thrives when people forget their own progress. Discouragement becomes easier when growth is ignored. Doubt becomes stronger when victories are forgotten. Yet your life contains evidence of resilience everywhere you look. Every challenge survived is evidence. Every lesson learned is evidence. Every difficult season endured is evidence. Every time you chose faith instead of despair is evidence. The person you are today was shaped through experiences that demanded courage. Even now, there may be areas of your life where uncertainty remains. There may be prayers still waiting for answers. There may be hope still waiting for fulfillment. There may be dreams that seem distant from your current circumstances. That does not mean they are impossible. It does not mean God has forgotten them. It does not mean your journey has reached its final chapter. Some blessings require preparation before they arrive. Some opportunities require growth before they become sustainable. Some forms of success require character development before they can be properly handled. Looking back later, many people discover that what felt like delay was actually preparation. What felt like stagnation was actually development. What felt like isolation was actually protection. The enemy wanted you to see only the frustration. God was creating something deeper. God was developing patience that could withstand future pressure. God was developing wisdom that could guide future decisions. God was developing strength that could support future responsibilities. There is a quiet beauty in the way God works within ordinary moments. While people often search for dramatic signs, many of the most important transformations happen gradually. They happen through repeated acts of faith. They happen through consistent perseverance. They happen through daily decisions to remain hopeful despite uncertainty. Those small decisions accumulate over time. They shape character. They strengthen identity. They prepare a person for opportunities that may not yet be visible. You have been participating in that process whether you realized it or not. Every time you chose kindness instead of bitterness, growth occurred. Every time you chose forgiveness instead of resentment, growth occurred. Every time you continued believing despite disappointment, growth occurred. Every time you trusted God with another uncertain day, growth occurred. None of those moments were wasted. None of those efforts disappeared unnoticed. God saw every one of them. God saw the silent sacrifices. God saw the hidden acts of faith. God saw the perseverance that nobody else recognized. The enemy may have tried to nerf your destiny by attacking your confidence, your hope, your expectations, and your sense of worth. Yet none of those attacks possess the power to erase what God established. Purpose remains. Value remains. Hope remains. Your future still carries possibilities beyond what current circumstances may suggest. The same strength that carried you through previous battles remains available today. The same faith that sustained you through earlier disappointments remains alive within you. The same God who guided you through seasons of uncertainty continues guiding you now. You do not need to have every answer before taking the next step. You do not need perfect clarity before moving forward. You do not need complete certainty before trusting again. Sometimes growth happens through faithful movement rather than perfect understanding. Sometimes healing unfolds one day at a time. Sometimes purpose reveals itself gradually as you continue walking. Your story has value, even if it did not unfold the way you expected. In fact, many of the qualities that make your story meaningful were born from the unexpected parts. Your compassion was strengthened through pain. Your wisdom was strengthened through mistakes. Your patience was strengthened through waiting. Your faith was strengthened through uncertainty. Your resilience was strengthened through adversity. The enemy hoped those experiences would permanently weaken you. Instead, they became part of the foundation supporting who you are today. There is still good ahead. There are still meaningful moments waiting for you. There are still opportunities for growth, connection, healing, and purpose. The difficult chapters were real, but they were never the entire story. The disappointments were real, but they were never your identity. The setbacks were real, but they were never your destiny. God has not forgotten you. God has not abandoned you. God has not overlooked the sacrifices you made, the tears you cried, or the faith you continued carrying through difficult seasons. The fact that you are still here, still hoping, still growing, and still seeking purpose is evidence that something valuable remains alive within you. Protect that hope. Honor that strength. Celebrate that growth. Trust that the lessons you learned were not meaningless. Trust that the patience you developed was not wasted. Trust that the resilience you built will continue serving you in the days ahead. The enemy may have tried to reduce what was possible for your future, but your future was never determined by opposition. It was shaped by perseverance, strengthened by faith, and guided by a God who continues working even when progress cannot yet be seen. If this message helped you remember your worth, your strength, and the purpose that still exists within your journey, subscribe to the channel and continue receiving encouragement that supports faith, healing, personal growth, and hope. May every message remind you that you are seen, valued, and never forgotten, and that some of the most meaningful chapters of your story may still be waiting ahead.